And now, coming to you live from MainEventMadness.com and brought to you by Spreaker, it's Main Event Madness. Our wrestling, your sports, simply madness. And on that note, here's your hosts, Al Merriman and John Curry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alfonso Maramon with my host, partner in crime, John Curry. It's a hump day, John. How the hell are you doing today?
And a happy hump day to you, I guess I could call you my partner in crime, my co-pilot. Try to switch it up a little bit so we don't use the same kind of names for each other. I don't know. I am doing pretty good. I am in the middle of a 9-day work stretch, so...
You'll survive, right?
Yeah.
I hope you can survive.
Well, yeah, because, nobody wants to listen to you by yourself, so we kind of need me to survive.
Yeah, not even my wife can stand my voice these days, so I understand it completely. But we're live, and this is anyway. Oh, man, I almost went with wrestling. With this Main Event Madness, baby. We had a great show last week with Ezekiel Jackson, the former Ezekiel Jackson. Now he's Big Rex at Lucha Underground. We have one hell of a show for you guys today, but before we get started and before we continue on our show, it's a very special week, especially for Americans here as we celebrated Veterans Day yesterday. So we wanted to take a moment, say thank you to all those vets. My father was in the Army, my cousin in the Navy, his father in the Navy. So I understand what it means for us to lose our loved ones and our families that have to go and fight a war. That way we could do a podcast here in the States. So it's very important, not only to John, but myself as well, that we take a couple seconds here, pay honor and respect to those who have helped sustain our liberties and freedom here in the United States and fighting a war and risking their lives for their families and for the United States government and for our way of life. So we're going to take a quick 10-bell salute for those who lost their lives and just taking a moment and this time and paying respect for everybody. Do you have any input before we take this?
No, I had a few cousins that served in the military. Both of them are back now. So, we were happy to have them back when they came back. I can imagine and... Well, can't even imagine what it was like for those who lost loved ones over there. So, thoughts and prayers with you guys that have lost loved ones or are dealing with troubling times upon your return from serving us. We thank you guys for your service, and as Al said, we are taking a 10-bell salute for you and for those who we have lost over the years.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that's just a salute to all the soldiers have lost their lives, and I got to commend and whatever the word is commend, right?
Yeah.
The NFL, the World Wrestling Entertainment. I haven't noticed the NBA too much.
No, they haven't done
the start of the season, but if you witnessed this weekend and Monday and even tomorrow night's game with the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills, Miami's doing a big tribute. The game is in town, and they're doing a big tribute to the troops. It's pretty cool that they acknowledge Veterans Day throughout the league and the NFL. If you saw the Enzos, there was the unique camo and the hats. They kind of went camo, kind of same way they did all pink for the month of October. Pretty cool, pretty awesome that they did that. But one thing in particular that stood out this week for me, John, and I know you've been working your butt off. I mean, with work and here, and I mean, we've been so busy this past week. I don't know if it's the holidays coming up. I know you got your personal issues, and thoughts and prayers to that and all that. But were you able to see SmackDown this week? What they did with the gentleman that received the Purple Heart?
I saw the clip on Raw on Monday, and that was awesome.
It wasn't that. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
His personality was. You could tell that he was overwhelmed with joy, but he didn't want to show it. The crowd was simply amazing, backing him up and saying thank you. And I just thought it was one of those unique experiences. You know, with wrestling, there's moments and times that obviously reality does come into play. One of those being 9/11 and it's just stuff like that. You know, a lot of times reality comes into play on the television show itself, especially with breast cancer awareness. But this was one of those moments in wrestling history, I think, that I'm always going to remember. It just seemed like a look into the future, and just the fact that they took time to do that and show the crowd and give him the moment. I know a lot of it has to do with publicity and stuff like that, but I try not to look at that aspect. When people are doing good things in the media, I'm trying to look at the good at it. I hope that it's not only because of publicity that the WWE is doing this, but at the end of the day, it was cool that they did that, and just showed off the technology of what's our future.
I'm sure it's mostly publicity, but I think Vince was something with the military when he was a kid. I don't know if he was in a camp or something, like he was in a boot camp or something when he was early mid-20s.
And that would be news to me. I'm gonna we'll get some research done on that. And I think you're right. I think he was in something when he was younger.
I want to say Marines almost, but
I've known, or even his father may have been involved. I know that it's always been something that has been close to him. And I'm looking here. So he did end up. He attended and graduated in 1964.
Military school, booyah.
From Fishburne Military School in Waynesboro, Virginia.
Booyah.
So,
not bad for pulling that one out of my ass.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job there. So I think there's a well intent there, and just to show you that there is well intent, especially with WWE, because I just know about it, and it's pretty well known. If you've ever served in the military and WWE's coming into your town, you get free tickets, and we don't hear those stories of those people always. Every Monday Night Raw, every SmackDown, every pay-per-view, and every live event, there's trickled in with some Army vets or current serving Army people. So those are things that we don't hear about too much, but it's there. So this is pretty cool. I know we're spending a little bit of time on it, but it is special. Without our military and our might, we wouldn't be able to do this show. So again, a quick warm thank you to those who have served. Thoughts and prayers of those men that are out there fighting every day, and thoughts and prayers to those families that have lost, and thoughts and prayers to those that have been severely injured and are going through the pain and struggle right now. We're sitting at home, John, talking through a microphone. There's gentlemen out there and women out there that are fighting every morning just to try to walk again. That's going around across the United States. So that being said, it's Main Event Madness Radio. We have a great show lined up for you today. We're discussing. Yes, it is Hump Day. We're discussing a plethora. I love that word and of topics. And to start, we're going to talk a little, and you're throwing me off with the music today. All right, so Jim Ross, we're going to hit up a little bit of Dolph Ziggler up in the show. We're talking a bit about the NFL, Adrian Peterson, WrestleMania 31, talking a little bit about CM Punk, the latest on Alberto Del Rio, Rey Mysterio. We got a couple of injuries that the NFL that this week alone that impacts several teams. We're going to discuss what those are.
Let me just say, I got 3 words to tell you about the news about JR.
What the hell?
So let's get into that immediately here. What the hell? No, you know what? It's pretty cool. We were I mentioned this last night to Wayne and John that GFW for not putting on a show has already done something that TNA Wrestling and Impact Wrestling and those up in Tennessee, I think it's Nashville, Tennessee, were not able to do, and that's get your commentating team to fly to Japan to call a damn pay-per-view. They actually have Jim Ross flying to Tokyo to do this show, and it's going to be provided to us. I'm not sure if it's live over here, either or. It doesn't matter. He's going to be ringside. That's something TNA was not able to accomplish on their biggest pay-per-view of the year. If you want the backstory, guys, if you're living underneath a rock, not the literal rock, you perverts out there. I know there's some people out there. Anyways, Mike Tenay and Taz waited at the headquarters in Nashville for TNA for the tape to get to them, and they did everything. It sounded like in the bathroom, and they did the commentating. It's no knock on them. I mean, it was TNA's fault. So they were inside of a studio looking at a tape Bound for Glory, and they were commentating on what they were seeing. So they weren't there. That being said, this is pretty big. I mean, we're going to get some great the ability to see a great pay-per-view, I think, because Japan has some great stuff. What are your thoughts on Jim Ross, John, and working with Jeff Jarrett and GFW?
Well, I mean, GFW has officially been solidified and legitimized with the addition of JR being their play-by-play guy. Whether or not that's going to be a regular role he's going to hold on to for a while, or if it's going to be just a one-off appearance for this event in Japan, in Japan remains to be seen. But I mean, that's already an awesome move. And I mean, if you want somebody who could sell your event better than anybody else, you're pretty much going to be looking at JR. But what really intrigues me is who's going to be his color guy. And I don't mean that, like...
you got me intrigued. Continue on that subject.
That came out wrong, I'm sorry. I'm intrigued to see who's going to be his, the analyst, the color analyst.
So what do you consider color analyst for those that are confused?
It's like an auxiliary announcer. It's like a Jerry Lawler or JBL on SmackDown or Taz when he was with Mike Tenay. The analysts are called color commentators.
So kind of like the Macho Man or the Jesse Ventura.
Yes.
Of the cast.
Yes. Color commentator. Analyst's technical name is a color commentator.
You know, I mean, Jim Ross alone, I know that he can do it on his own, but I would like to see something complimentary to him. What is out there, I don't know. I mean, I don't know who would be able to fill in as that person, as a second guy there. Maybe Jeff Jarrett does it, but I don't think he has. I mean, I've heard a lot of different names, and we're going over them a little bit with Dwayne Daly. Like, I mean, they're discussing possibly Kevin Kelly. I even tossed out there Tony Schiavone from the old WCW days.
Please no.
He's still doing radio, but I don't think he wants to go back to wrestling.
So I don't sound racist. Let me explain this, and that was not my intent. A color commentator is a sports commentator who assists the play-by-play announcer, often by filling in at any time when the play is not in progress. The color analyst and main commentator will often exchange comments freely throughout the broadcast when the play-by-play announcer is not describing the action. The color commentator provides expert analysis and background information such as statistics, strategy, and injury reports on teams and athletes, and occasionally anecdotes or light humor. Color commentators are also former athletes or coaches of the sport. Often former, of the sport being broadcast. The term color refers to the levity and insight provided by a secondary announcer. A sports color commentator customarily works alongside the play-by-play broadcaster. So no, you were trying to throw me under the bus, Mr. Merriman.
Well, I wanted you to recover. You did a great job. I'll be honest there. So, I mean, that being said, I agree with you, John. It solidifies GFW. One of your first main announcements We've been waiting for announcements. First, they gave us an announcement that they're going to be hosting the pay-per-view. I believe that was 2 weeks ago, right?
Do they have a roster yet?
I'm sorry?
Does GFW have a roster yet?
No roster. No roster whatsoever at this point. They have they're working with a lot of independent wrestling companies throughout the entire world. I mean, again, I'm going to use that word plethora. That might be the show word this week. A plethora of independent wrestling, but nothing's come to fruition yet. This is huge. One of your first main signings, helping you bring Wrestle Kingdom 9 on January 4th as a WWE Hall of Famer. And let me tell you, it's kind of interesting, John. I don't know if you've been keeping track of Jim Ross. I don't understand what happened with the relationship of WWE, Vince McMahon, and Jim Ross, because it's always been a roller coaster ride. But it just seems like out of nowhere, once he finished up his last run, they want nothing, absolutely nothing to do with JR. And they're holding him accountable for, I think it was a SummerSlam Access or maybe WrestleMania. I think it was
SummerSlam Access. It was a...
Ric Flair, right?
Yep. It was a panel about the video game, I believe.
Yeah, but Ric Flair was apparently drunk out of his mind, and they kind of I don't know the whole
Flair
story,
was drunk and
but ever since then, they don't want to have any... If you've seen these podcasts out there with Steve Austin and Chris Jericho, they're allowing almost every person on the roster except John Cena on the show. For God's sake, Triple H was on I Am Jericho recently. But Jim Ross, they're throwing him to crap after all these years. That I thought he did a great job commentating, especially throughout the Attitude Era and post that. He's always been pretty great. So it's just kind of weird. I wish I had more of a backstory, and it's strange. So they pushed him off. I guess they don't see the value that he has anymore, but he still has value. He's been calling MMA fights, and I think this is a great addition. And it's smart, John, if you think about it, on Jeff Jarrett's part. This is the biggest commentator known to wrestling, if you think about it. He's the biggest free agent,
biggest living
play-by-play guy available, correct?
He's the biggest living commentator for wrestling right now. Yes, he's definitely one of the most sought-after free agents, and he was rumored to have something to do with TNA about 6 months ago. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yes.
And so, I mean, maybe TNA was trying to talk to JR, and then Jeff Jarrett kind of threw him a little coup. And the rest, as I say, is history.
Definitely. I mean, I think it's a great acquisition, and I was saying it's intelligent on Jeff Jarrett's part, and even Jim Ross. I mean, he's going to garner more interest into the company. I mean, it's Jim Ross. He still has a connection to a lot of the current wrestling fans and the core wrestling fans when it comes to WWE. People are starting to forget about him a little bit, but I don't think completely. I
wouldn't be the least bit.
I'm not going to forget about him.
I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if this is only a one-off deal with GFW for this event in Japan. If WWE doesn't call JR up and say, "Hey, we're going to." We want you back as an announcer, something, and next thing you know, he shows up on Monday Night Raw or something.
Well, and that's one way they would protect their assets, and a company like WWE or even Walmart, for that sake, they need to cover their assets, and that would be one way they could do it. So we'll see what happens here. I think it might take more than this event for a WWE phone call to Jim Ross. They're going to want to see where GFW is within the next 12 to 24 months to see where their vision is. Because right now we have a little insight of what they're planning on doing. And we don't know where it's going to go. But if this is the case...
McMahon's showing himself to be the kind of person, well, if I can't have him, nobody can have him.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's what happens when you become so powerful in your industry. You're the head poncho, and nobody's touched you or even... I mean, the person that's come close was WCW, and he squashed him like a mosquito. So his ego in his head must be huge. And maybe not his ego, just his confidence.
What if it's as huge as Triple H's nose?
She's spinning around at his positivity.
I wonder if his ego is as huge as Triple H's nose.
then then that would explain it all.
Wah, wah.
All right, so speaking of, and I don't even know how I could segue out of this, but good old Jim Ross, congratulations, GFW. I hope you kick ass in Tokyo, Japan for Wrestle Kingdom 9th on January 4th. Do you need information on that pay-per-view? Please visit WrestlingNewsReport.com or Wrestling-News.net. We got the stories and press releases up there. Moving on to Vince McMahon and his company, WWE Monday Night Raw happened on a few days ago, and it happened live from the United Kingdom, or pre-taped, right? That
I had a good segue there, and you ruined it.
I'm sorry?
I said I had a good segue there, and you ruined it.
Okay, what was your segue?
No, we're already past it now. Don't worry about it.
Oh, man, all right. Sorry. I did a pretty good job of recovering myself there.
Yeah, let's just... Come on.
All right, so let's get into it. WWE Monday Night Raw. It was pre-taped, and they didn't miss a beat, especially with the ratings. They were only down 3%, which is freaking awesome because the spoilers on my site alone had over 4,000 within hours, so that's pretty awesome. So they still did a great viewing TV ratings when they came out last night. But let's cover Raw. Were you able to catch the whole thing?
Unfortunately.
It seemed like a cluster F of a show to start with.
They had a month's worth of storyline for Ryback in 3 hours. You had Ryback come out as a babyface, turn on Cena, and then start teasing him turning on the Authority, then turning on the Authority, and then walking out teasing joining Team Cena again. All in the span of 3 hours. That's a month's worth of storyline.
It kept you on your toes.
No, it didn't.
There's a lot of time. Yes, it does.
Although, for once, I actually didn't fall asleep during Raw, so there's that.
You wanted to see what was going to happen when Cena and Ryback. You know why? Because all the vignettes they were doing backstage, not vignette, what are the backstage segments? You kept on seeing Ryback and Ray, whatever I call him, right? Whatever. And every time one of the Authority members would talk to him, he was like, I kept on seeing more and more. It was like, what the hell am I doing with these guys? Like he made a bad decision. You can see it in his face, like, man, screw these guys. Like, man, F it. And I kept on seeing Raw. I'm like, what's gonna happen at the end? Mind you, I got the spoilers up, but I try not to read them. Wayne Daly's the one that produced them, and we put them up on the sites. So I really tried not to read them as much. So I got some Twitter things wrong, and I apologize to my listeners there. But I thought it was a great way to build a show that was already pre-recorded, and I think those little backstage segments kept you hooked to want to see the main event.
Yes and no. I mean, I didn't care for Cena and Ryback when we had it a year ago, so I wasn't really too excited about getting it again, but
this was bigger than a year ago, I thought. Or a little over a year now.
It was better than it was a year ago. But I mean, you just have oversaturation of the Authority. Because they're going to be leaving in 2 weeks or whatever it is. So they need to oversaturate every possible episode of Raw. And as you saw on Raw, they're going to be on SmackDown. And it's just, oh, God.
I don't know why you've always been so down about the Authority. I think this
I like the Authority, but it's just
great.
Every segment has to involve Triple H or Stephanie. No matter if it's Rusev, no matter if it's Dolph Ziggler, no matter if it's Cena, no matter if it's the Usos, no matter if it's this one or that one or the Brooklyn Brawler, I'm sure somehow would be interacting. It's just like, say there's like, what is it, 3-hour show, 12 quarters. Of those 12 quarters, about 9 of them are featured some sort of Authority storyline.
Here's the thing. I mean, they're building up to the biggest Survivor Series that we've witnessed in years. If you think about this Survivor Series, it means more than any other Survivor Series that I could think back on. And you might have to go back to 2000 when it was Steve Austin and it was the Alliance versus whatever it was, team with Eric Bischoff. That was probably what the last biggest one we've had. This has been an awesome build leading up to Survivor Series, and
I wouldn't exactly call it an awesome build.
I'm sorry, but I am intrigued, and I want to see what's going to happen next. Mark Henry's coming out. The Big Show's on the other side, too. We got Team Cena versus Team Authority. It's building up to be a decent...
This is one of the worst years that they could have.
This is my problem with Survivor Series. A lot of the Survivor Series in the past have really not meant nothing. It's a bunch of single wrestler competitors coming together, and nothing with the base of a storyline. But they've created something here. This Team Authority versus Team John Cena. Team John Cena can't take the authority anymore, including Dolph Ziggler, Sheamus, Big Show. They can't take it. They want to put him out of power. And Seth Rollins, Kane, and Rusev and Mark Henry want that power. And they want to keep the power, so it creates a better storyline. Instead of a bunch of competitors that hate each other, they're fighting each other because they've been feuding with each other. This is making it like a group effort, and I really love that aspect. Go ahead.
And in that regard, it is a good storyline in that. But they picked the worst year to have a main event Survivor Series elimination match.
How was that?
Because you have 2 matches worth of notable talent. You have your Survivor Series tag match, and then you have not Ziggler, I'm sorry. Ambrose and Wyatt. That's it. You're hurt by not having Punk. You're hurt by not having Bryan. You're hurt by not having Reigns. You're hurt by not having Orton.
Yeah, but look how the rest of the card is lining up. I mean, we already got AJ Lee versus Nikki Bella. That storyline's been intriguing just because of
3 matches.
Well, Nikki Bella, pretty much. What was it?
So far, we're at 3 matches, and each one of them are going to be a 60-minute Iron Man match. Okay.
All right. And are you not intrigued by Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt?
I am, but you have 3 matches. 3 matches for a 3-hour pay-per-view.
So far.
What are you going to throw out there next? Adam Rose versus the Bunny? Woo! Boy, that's going to get people subscribing to the network.
That is we're going to have some sort of tag team championship match with Stardust and Gold.
4 matches. We might be able to go 50 minutes with these matches.
There you go. Where are they going to go with the other matches? Jeez.
Thank you. Hold on. Let's see. We could do. We'll throw in Adam Rose versus the Bunny because nothing screams second biggest or third biggest pay-per-view of the year like let's have a fictionalized. I'm sorry, fucking Bunny, and a guy that doesn't know if he's Russell Brand or if he's Johnny Depp or if he's Oh God, I hate Adam Rose. But let's see. So you have that. That's 5 matches.
That little him getting pissed off at the Bunny.
That's 5 matches.
Did you not see his face? He looks scary when he's back on Monday Night Raw.
So that's 5 matches. You you could always do Slater Gator and the Hornswoggle and
Los Matadores?
No, well they're gonna face Los Matadores. Hold on, I gotta go to the roster page here really quick because hold on, we got a thing we could throw together here. Hold on.
Hey, maybe they'll go ahead and just have them 1 hour.
Hey, maybe we'll have a WWE Championship. No, that's not. Yeah, never mind. And I mean, I never thought I would say it, but I mean, they picked a bad time to repackage Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston, because those guys could be used in a match right now. And Bo Dallas and Wade Barrett are out, so that's another 2 guys. So let's see. You got
Zack Ryder.
No, he's out
for 6 months.
You got Slater, Gator, and Hornswoggle, and you can throw Fandango in there.
Well, what are they going to do with Cesaro? He hasn't been doing much. But
hey, throw Cesaro in there. There's a 5th one. Okay. And then we can have Los Matadores.
You can always call Rey Mysterio. Oh, shoot.
Hey, you could have Los Matadores, R-Truth, and Jack Swagger. There you go.
Wait, wasn't Jack Swagger just annihilated on Monday Night Raw?
Yeah, that don't matter.
Storyline-wise?
Nobody pays attention to that.
And Randy Orton, oh, damn, he's filming a movie. Vince McMahon versus Linda McMahon. There you go.
Loser gets divorced. I love it. Let's book next match.
No. Loser gets the house. Winner gets the WWE or something. I don't know.
That's okay. I still have my jet.
My egotistical head is coming with me.
And I still have my grapefruits.
I know. I understand your point, and I don't know what the other matches are going to be.
There's going to be some kind of jobber.
They'll figure something out, John. I mean, Cesaro and Jack Swagger can fight for the number 1 contender, one of the belts. I mean, we're obviously going to have a tag team match in there. We're going to have. It's difficult to sit there. Maybe the Miz will be involved in something. You know, who knows? I mean, as of right now, I don't know where they're going.
Oh no, it's going to be Golden Stardust. Yeah, how the hell is that one going to work? It's going to be Golden Stardust versus Mizdow and Miz? How the hell is that going to work? Oh, well.
That's tough because he's...
I would love them to do Miz and Mizdow versus Golden Stardust versus the Usos. Triple threat tag match.
So if it's triple threat tag match, that's a good 25-minute match.
You know what would really be awesome if they could do it? Is if they put an NXT title match on the pay-per-view.
And it's funny because I was going to talk to you about that a little bit earlier. They've been having Tyson Kidd. He's wrestling a lot more on the main card. When are they going to introduce these damn guys, these young guys? I mean, Evan Ginsberg, he's going to be on our show here in a couple of weeks. We're working. He's our new partner from Legends TV, and we'll have the commercial on a little bit later on today. He's been talking. He's like, I'm tired of seeing the same old crap on Monday Night Raw when they have all this plethora of talent down in NXT.
You really do love that word.
I'm telling you, that word is we're going to use that in the title of our press release. It's a plethora of
main plethora madness. Don't miss that. Don't miss that Spreaker. Main plethora madness.
That's right, folks, and that's right. So I mean, no, I feel like these guys. I don't know what's taking so long with Adrian Neville. It's frustrating, for sure.
I wonder if they're waiting for that December event, NXT Evolution.
There's got to be a title change, I think, before they bring up Neville.
Although, sometimes after these big pay-per-views, they do...
reboots?
Yes. Maybe they'll bring up Zayn and Neville. Maybe they'll bring up... Although it's a little different this time with Zayn and Neville than it was with Ambrose, Reigns, and Rollins when they came up from NXT. Because now they're kind of... They had a wall, almost, of NXT characters, main roster characters. And now it's they're kind of getting meshed together. You see Tyson Kidd on Raw, and he's with his NXT character. So I wonder if they'd even acknowledge anything in NXT if they brought up Sami Zayn, or if they brought up, kind of like how when Paige came up, they acknowledged that she was the NXT Women's Champion.
They could probably do that. I mean, I'll say this. At the end of the day, I'm looking forward to watching Survivor Series. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen the very following day on that Monday Night Raw. I think it's going to be huge. There's going to be, if the Authority loses, what's next? And there's going to be a lot of questions that need to be answered the next night on Monday Night Raw. So I think it's going to set up for that reboot you were saying, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that Monday Night Raw is going to be a must-see Raw, and I think we're going to... A lot of times there's these pay-per-views that sometimes I'd rather see the next night than the pay-per-view itself. And this is one of those nights. I could care less what's going to happen on the pay-per-view. I'm intrigued by Bray Wyatt and Dean Ambrose, obviously. I think they're going to tear down the house. But I just want to see the results, and then I want to be watching Monday Night Raw and seeing what's going to happen. So I'm intrigued about the post-Survivor Series Raw and seeing what happens. I want to see Brock Lesnar's coming back, because they're saying he's coming back in December, possibly. There's a lot of things. And how many more months are we going to have without a championship being defended, a World Heavyweight Champion on a pay-per-view? To me, to my knowledge, it's 2 months in a row now, right?
Yes.
Has that ever happened
this is
before?
kind of
2 months in a row?
It's kind of BS that he's not, that he could still be champion when Bryan got hurt and they made Bryan give up the title.
Well,
and they had no idea how long Bryan was going to be out.
Bryan might not even wrestle ever again.
But at the time, they thought he could be back in a month, or he could be back in 2 months, and they took the belt off him. But Brock Lesnar can just come in and be champion and not defend the belt for 6 months?
It's strange. I understand that. And is this the first time that we've had 2 months in a row not defending a championship, the World Heavyweight Champion? I think it might be, like in recent history.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, it was a little bit more common, but for this, it's a little...
you got to go back several years for this to happen.
I'm sorry?
No, I said you got to go back several years for that to happen.
Decades, actually. All right, so back to Monday Night Raw. I'm tired of talking about Survivor Series. Monday Night Raw saw Eric Rowan looking for her, and I know we're going to talk about that a little later, but interesting into Raw was with Luke Harper after... Ryback decided to do what he did. He came in and tossed Ziggler onto the floor.
A dead-looking Dolph Ziggler.
He did.
The lighting. Whoever did the lighting on that.
Dead weight when he threw him across the floor. It was crazy.
Whoever did the lighting on that, hats off to you, because Ziggler looked like blue and purple and...
What was your take on that with the Luke Harper? Are you excited about this? It's obvious that the Wyatt family are completely... They still have a connection to each other in a strange way, but they're technically done. Would you agree with me on that?
I could have done without... If he had just thrown Ziggler to them and just stared at him, or stared at the Authority, instead of, I'm a main event player. No! No!
That audio.
Just shut up! No, don't ruin it!
Yeah, that was funny. I'm intrigued to see where this is going to lead for them. I actually like the vignette with Luke Harper's eyes better than him talking about it. How he's a main event player. I felt like
he didn't say he was a player. He said it like he was MVP. I'm a main event player. No!
He probably gave him a call beforehand. So how do you get that dialect correct?
What is it, 305?
305, that's my hood. Well, if you all called me before, you know my digits start with 305. The number is on the website if you ever want to call and harass me.
Why the hell would you post your phone number online?
Because I love my fans to harass me.
Alrighty then.
Yes, sir. So under the contacts page, and I got your number on there, John.
What? What, on Wrestling News Report?
Yes, sir. I put it up on there just out of spite, bro. Right now, John is freaking out. He's typing on the keyboard.
Yep.
Going to the contact page on the website.
So you son of a bitch.
I would never do that to you, bro.
So you son of a bitch. You really did put your phone number on there.
I did. I said you could call up Alton Merrimont at any time. You want to harass me? You got any views, opinions, angry, or if you're happy, call me.
Oh my God.
Leave me a hateful voicemail. I would really appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Well, as a matter of fact, I'm going to take it one step further. I'm going to tweet this out right now. You bastards want to call me, and I will pick up the phone call right now live on air if you want to call. There you go.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. Enough of this craziness. All right, so Monday Night Raw, decent show. I feel like we've been talking forever, and we haven't even talked about
Well, we have been talking for 40 minutes.
forever.
Forever.
All right, so we got Vince Russo. We're going to talk a little bit about him here shortly. A little bit about the NFL. For some reason, I don't think we have any NBA talk.
That's okay.
Which is fine, even though I can't talk about it. It's okay.
Listen, what was your challenge last week? Don't even say his name. Don't even say his name. Your challenge is to go a week without saying LeBron's name. That is your challenge.
I could use his nickname.
But, alright guys, we got a loaded show coming up for you guys in the next hour and 19 minutes. Woo! It almost feels like we're running the marathon. But guess what? We are! So coming up, we got Vince Russo, like Al said. We got Vince Russo, we got some NFL news. A bit of NFL news, actually. And then I twisted his arm. It's practically broken off like I did the Kimura walk to him. Because in place of the NBA this week, we have Major League Baseball news. Hallelujah. I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority on that, But, nonetheless, we got some baseball news. We got CM Punk. Oh, wait a minute, Al, we do have NBA news. I don't know if Al's there right now. We do have an NBA debate coming up later on in the show. And also, SmackDown's moving nights. What do we think about that? Will we see some shakeups? Find out later on in the show. But right now, we're going to take a commercial break. When we get back, loaded show here. It's all on Main Event Madness coming up in just a couple minutes.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Looking for quality wrestling news with an international flair? Looking for results and news from around the world? Look no further than Wrestling-News.net. Wayne Daly and his crew have you covered from top to bottom, from WWE to TNA to the top independent companies from around the world. Check them out, Wrestling-News.net. Looking for more than your average wrestling website? Looking for the fastest growing wrestling news site on the internet today? With quality news, results, and more. Wrestling News Report has everything you'd want in a wrestling website. Al Merriman has you covered with the latest and biggest stories of the day from all around the world of pro wrestling. Check them out today, WrestlingNewsReport.com. So you're cruising around the internet looking for some entertainment. What if I told you there's a hard-hitting, fresh, and opinionated podcast out there covering everything from WWE and TNA to the NFL, the NBA, and MLB? Well, that's reality. Main Event Madness is here. Don't miss us every week on MainEventMadness.com as well as on TuneIn Radio and Stitcher.com. Main Event Madness, our wrestling, your sports, simply madness. From the associate producer of The Wrestler, Evan Ginsberg, comes Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV, co-hosted by Steve Ludwig, featuring legends in sports, pro wrestling, and the arts. Lanny the Genius Poffo, Nicole Bass, Oscar from Men on a Mission, and million-selling music hitmakers like Martha Wash of the Weather Girls and Carol Douglas of Doctor's Orders fame appear regularly, as well as the greatest live indie musicians performing live in studio. Saturdays, 11 a.m. at legendstvnyc.com and madhousetv.com, archived 24/7. You missed the birth of your mother and father, don't you dare miss Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV.
Alright guys, we're back here on Main Event Madness, and let me just get one thing on it in the clear, and I am going to mention this to Evan Ginsberg when he comes on the show in a couple weeks. You guys, I don't know if you guys realize how much of a tongue twister that Martha Wash of the Weather Girls and $1 Million Music Hitmakers or whatever it was, that one part right there, that literally took me like 7 times to try to get, it was just like a tongue twister. I don't know.
I can't wait to hear you call him out. That's going to be great.
Yeah. I was going to make a joke, but I'll behave. But nonetheless, guys, it's Main Event Madness on November 12th, 2014, and it is, Al, a very happy
Hump Day!
Get happy.
Although Al's Hump Day,
I love humping on Hump Day. It's
although Al's Hump Day,
all day
sadly,
long. I love it, and we're back live, better than ever. This is
unfortunately,
been a
Al,
year thus far, hasn't it been, John?
Unfortunately, your Hump Day has a little bit of a cost to it.
$9.99.
Definitely not getting it free in November. That's for sure. I was saying, John, we've had one hell of a year. It's mid-November already. We started this thing in February.
Yep.
Amazing, the guests we've had and the growth that we've seen our show, and we want to thank you all. We've had so many great guests, and we go down the list, but for you new listeners out there, we've had Bruno Sammartino, Ezekiel Jackson last week.
Diamond Dallas Page, Rhino, Brodus Clay,
Idol Rose, Kikyo Nakamura, some Mindy Stars,
Michael Lombardi, David Hero, Evan Ginsberg, Sonny Ono, Karma.
I mean, the list goes on, and we're already setting up for next year. And, my baby's going to be born, hopefully healthy in January. That's what it's looking like. So it's going to be touchy those first weeks, but I already got a plan, and we'll be here. But February, we're starting to book our shows for February. Brodus Clay, and I'm calling that out. I know I'm doing this off of rip, but I just felt like I wanted to talk about it, right, John? So I'm sorry.
Major announcement coming.
Yes. So Brodus Clay will be returning to our show early next year in February. We're going to talk about...
Oh, he's not going to be until February? I thought he was going to be in January.
January, February. I told him about the beginning of the year, but we're set for January. I said, worst case scenario, February. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, and I know that you guys know him from WWE, but we're going to get a little personal with him, talk about his experiences since leaving the company, and what he's learned since leaving, and how he's perceived in the independent wrestling market. So we're going to talk about that and so much more with Brodus.
Al's going to love
our current TNA star, as you see him now every Wednesday night, Tyrus. So he is there, and he has.
You guys are going to love another interview we've got coming. Al's buddy old pal making a return.
Yeah, and this is huge, guys. I was talking, and I'm excited about this because David Hero. If you guys don't know him, he's a
co-host of the Pro Wrestling
for a very long time. Hosting his annual Blizzard Brawl up in Wisconsin, and also he's on the show Pro Wrestling Report, which airs locally, and I post it every once in a while on the site. His best friend is Al Snow, and when he was on this show last time, he was embedded with Al Snow. Yes, it's that personal with those guys. So we're going to have a unique experience because we're going to have both Al Snow and David Hero on our show, and I'm just looking forward to it. He already agreed to it. I don't know if Al Snow knows it, but they're like brothers, so if he says he's got to do it, he's going to do it. So it's going to be a unique Al Snow, David Hero on our show, and it's going to be fun.
I got to do this. You mentioned Al Snow. I got to do this.
Does everybody want? What does everybody want?
Head.
That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And let me tell you, Al Snow, man, he's in great shape. He's still doing some crazy stuff in the ring. If you haven't seen TNA Impact Wrestling, or even some of his independent stuff, I've been seeing his videos. He's still doing moonsaults. He looks like he's 19 again. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a unique show because we're going to get personal with the guys to see how they met. And they have so many road stories. So we're going to talk about that and get personal with them. We're setting up a lot for next year. We got a lot of stuff pending, so stick with us. This year was great. Our goal is next year is going to be even better. So we want to double our numbers. We want to get double our listening time on our show. And we have more announcements coming up as well with a another looks like they're going to be under the MEM umbrella, but we'll talk about that a little later on. So, but that's it. I wanted to get that out there. Sorry I did that off rip, John. I hope you forgive me.
Wait, what?
I did that off of rip. Like, I didn't tell you I was going to make these announcements. I'm sorry.
Meh. Nah.
Eh.
Not really.
You bastard. That's what that means.
No, well.
All right, let's get into it. Russo calls himself out and says he's the best without saying he's the best.
Yep.
Would you agree with that?
Yep.
I was looking at his, and if you guys haven't seen it, how can you?
I don't think anybody could.
Think about what he did, John. He literally asked himself, "Did I kill WCW?" And he looked at his own numbers.
I don't think anybody could ever buy more stock in anything than Vince Russo has bought in himself.
Bam. Perfect. Love it. And that's an awesome quote what he just said. So he sends out this blog, but that's because he had an interview with somebody. I forgot, R.D. Reynolds, or he says, in preparation of my interview with R.D. Reynolds, the co-author of the book, The Death of WCW, I went over the ratings for the show, and that I was actually involved with. So he breaks it down, like, can you break it down a little bit there? I'm losing my, I need something to drink here, I'm sorry.
So, he said, in preparation for my interview with R.D. Reynolds, the co-author of my book, The Death of WCW, I went over the ratings of the show I was actually involved in writing during my short tenure at WCW. The numbers are posted online for anybody to take a look at. You can crunch them just like I did to get a true picture of what the numbers were during my time at WCW, end quote. And he does have a point. From mid-September to mid-October 1999, WCW's average rating was a 2.9. Those are the 4 shows prior to Ed Ferrara and Russo joining WCW. Then from the week after that until mid-January, about 4 months, the average rating of WCW was a 3.2. They were trying to break down the old foundation, they said, that from WCW, presumably the older talent there, try to rebuild a little bit, and they kind of did with Booker T and some of the other guys they tried to push, not named David Arquette. He said his last show drew a 3.4. I don't really know how he can say that was their highest to date, unless he was talking about his and Ed Ferrara. From the week after that until the first week of April, the rating went down to a 2.7, and he claims that's when he went home and Kevin Sullivan took over creative at WCW, and the rating went down. No, all these shows are now 2-hour shows and not 3-hour shows. He claims it was during that 12-week period that WCW truly lost its audience, and is going to be a difficult struggle and battle to ever win them back. Convenient to say that 15 years later, but, who's counting? At least that's my opinion.
Well,
the prodigal son returns, ladies and gentlemen. Alfonso Merriman, everybody.
What was that you said? I'm sorry?
He said,
what did you just say about Alfonso Merriman?
I said, the prodigal son returns. Alfonso Merriman, everybody.
All right, sorry. I thought that's what you sounds like. Is that what he said? All right, so Vince Russo, I think that it's difficult for me. I got so many thoughts on this. When something goes wrong, somebody needs somebody to point the finger at. Point given. The United States of America right now, everything that's wrong is Obama's fault.
That's because most of it is Obama's fault.
Well, and I hate saying that because it's not only Obama's fault. It's years and years of Democrats, Republicans, and Independents screwing up the system, and it leads up to because Obama's the president right now. Yes, he added some stupid stuff, but there's a lot of other stuff that's been wrong with our economy and everything else that's very difficult to fix just in an 8-year term. I'm not saying I'm Obama man or I'm a Republican man or I'm a Democratic man. I hate that because it's years of falling or years of things going wrong. And you need to face somebody to point the finger at. And that's, in that case, is Obama. In this case, Vince Russo was there for those latter parts of the year. I think that he did some great things. I think that he thought out of the box. I think he tried to do different things, and I don't necessarily think it was only his fault that the company went down. It's easier to point your finger at the creative guy, but you need a good core team around you. And when Ted Turner was selling the company, and Ted they had no more interest in wrestling, that was a huge thing. What do I feel? I feel when Eric Bischoff there, if you hear all the stories, Eric Bischoff had no control of that locker room. Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, everybody was running the damn show. And when you have all these guys with those damn egos, eventually it implodes. It's like a gang, or somebody's gonna screw things up. I can't sit here and just point to Vince Russo. There's a lot of reasons why WCW died. And I can't sit here and say it's Vince Russo's fault. I think there's a lot of things that happened. Vince Russo happened to be there at the end, so it's easier to say, Russo, it's your fault.
Even though a good portion of it is his fault.
They're struggling even more now without Vince Russo. When Vince Russo was brought on, the ratings shot up a bit. Eric Bischoff brought on, the ratings shot. I cannot sit here and just point the finger at one person. I just can't.
You know what? I got to admit, I enjoyed the Russo days of TNA far more than I've enjoyed the post-Russo days of TNA.
I feel the same way. And when Eric Bischoff came, the ratings started going low again. And guess what? TNA got so desperate that some crazy-ass story comes out that Vince Russo is employed secret, like he was in the CIA. Nobody can know that Vince Russo was employed by TNA. That's how desperate they were, because they wanted Russo to come back and try to help fix things. But they couldn't do it because Spike TV didn't like Vince Russo and his way of doing things. When Vince Russo is a wrestling-minded person.
That's like trying to replace a smokestack on the Titanic after it already hit the iceberg.
There's no fixing it. I understand. And everybody's gone already, right?
Either that or you're fixing the wrong part.
You're fixing the wrong part. I see what you mean. Okay. Yeah. At that point, like right now, TNA has been so mismanaged. But hey, it's all Vince Russo's fault, right? It's Vince Russo's fault. Everything.
No, everything wrong with TNA right now is firmly Dixie Carter's fault.
Oh yeah, now it's Dixie Carter. But if Russo was still there, why is Russo booking this shit? Sorry I said that, but that's what.
Listen, I've already dropped it up, Bob. I'm pretty sure we're good. We'll just put an explicit label on the show.
Yeah, but that's what would be said. It's just a funny thing, and it's just easy to point, and it's easy to do that because you need a face to point at. Another example is you look at your local teams that suck, like the Jets, and you look at the Dolphins having all. I'm sorry, I said that, but I'm bringing in the Dolphins too. The Dolphins
could have brought up your own local teams in the bunks, you jackwagon.
But I'm just letting you know. You gotta find somebody to point your finger at. Before, it was Geno Smith, right? Well, Geno Smith's not there anymore. Now Michael Vick is there. So Michael Vick has had a great win over the Steelers.
Yes, he did.
So now, let's say next week they lose. They're going to go point their finger now back at Rex Ryan.
What the hell?
Exactly. What the hell? So you just need somebody to point the finger at. So that's life, and that's how we are. Sorry, I went on a little crazy rant there.
What the hell?
I didn't mean to defend Vince Russo that much, but it's just I'm tired of the negativity around him and everything else.
It's all good. Let's shift gears a little bit, if you don't mind, Mr. Merriman.
Yes, please, because I'm going to burst a blood vessel here. We're talking about Vince Russo and why everyone's always on his ass for something.
Everybody's dream is to get paid by the NFL to play in the NFL. Well, do you think it was Aldon Smith's dream to pay to play in the NFL? Because reportedly, Smith, who's eligible to return, this is from ESPN, Smith, who is eligible to return to the 49ers this week after serving a 9-game suspension, will become one of the rare, if not only player in league history to pay for the privilege of playing football, according to sources. After Smith's 9-game suspension, his salary this season will be $1.099 million, with the net taxes at being $525,000. The 59ers will take all of that from his game checks this season for money he owes due to signing bonus forfeiture, according to sources, but what he makes this season won't be enough to cover what he owes the 49ers. So, hold on, I gotta... Oh, did I not copy it all?
So the team will take another $661,000 after this season, the sources said.
Yes, $661,000.
Holy hell. That is a crazy story.
Just wanted to get your thoughts about a player having to pay over $500,000 to play in the NFL. That just goes to show you guys, anybody who thinks they're that good out there because you were playing pickup football games, unless you got $500,000, you ain't playing in the NFL.
Well, all right, so, and I am sorry to not know this. Why was he suspended in the first place?
I should have looked that up. But momentarily, we will have that answer right here on Main Event Madness.
For violating the league's policy on...
Well, why the hell did you even ask me?
And substance abuse. I was buying time, dude. Live, it's Main Event Madness, and we're riding the high here. So, yeah, substance of abuse. So here it is. Do not violate the league policy several times in your career if you don't want to pay them money or owe your team money. The return of the defense also linebacker. It's funny because they gained Aldon Smith, but they lost a player, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. It is strange. I've never heard of this happening, but it lines up. I mean, you're being fined every single game. You weren't able to play with the signing bonus, so you lose that. You have to forfeit that because of your suspension. Now the team is taking $525,000, or what it is, $525 after the net taxes. So he owes the team essentially over $1 million.
Yep.
Almost $1.4 million, and it's not going to cover. Again, it's Aldon Smith. He's a beast of a player. He's going to be able to reconcile that next season, and I'm sure this is what I love about the NFL. They don't do this at my job, but you could go. But you, if you work in the NFL or the NBA, you could violate policies of personal contact and substance abuse. They'll restructure your contract the following year or two, whenever your contract's up, and you'll probably make it up on the back end, right? That's what happens a lot. So trust me, Mr. Aldon Smith, you're going to be fine. I'm sure you're going to sack like 20 people or whatever the case is, and you'll get your little extra $2 million, and I'm sure you'll be smoking cigars or smoking doobies by the end of the season again. That being said, you got anything else on Aldon Smith?
Sorry about your damn luck. And aside from that, I just got one thing to say.
What's that? Damn! All right, guys. So, Mr. Aldon Smith, I have no pity on people that break the rules.
I do have pity.
I personally done them, and I'm paying for the rules I've broken right now. So, hey, your bed is, you made your bed, you lie in it, and I'm not going to feel bad for him. Nobody feels bad for me. If anything, it is what it is. You got to pay up to. You're lucky you still got that job. I wish I could do that. I wish I could have a job knowing that I could pay off everything that I did wrong. I get, he's not working, and essentially he's still paying back the money that he owes. And he'll work a couple weeks, he pays back the money, and he's going to be fine next year. So it might be hard for him now. I mean, he'll be fine. So I have no pity on the guy. No one shows me pity. So you make a mistake, own it, pay it, shut up, go play football. Don't do it again. So that's my take on Aldon Smith.
From one person who doesn't deserve pity to somebody who does deserve pity.
There you go. I knew we had you on the show for something, hopefully. So that's
Yeah, it's to make you sound good in the intros, buddy.
I'm sorry?
I said, it's to make you sound good, buddy.
Oh, that's right. I knew there was a reason for it. No, so Zack Ryder, and it's kind of weird because people are thinking that this might be like a. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice already for some reason. I feel like I haven't done a show.
Because you just drank like 87 5-hour energies.
I'm gonna have to drink the next one now here.
Ah.
So apparently, Zack Ryder is undergoing surgery on a torn rotator cuff, and there's expectations that he's going to return possibly after WrestleMania. Because they're saying that he's out for what?
6 months.
A minimum of 4 to 6 months. That's correct, John?
6 months, they said. Which 6 months would put him after WrestleMania.
So here's my thing. What do you think is going to happen to Zack Ryder? You think this is going to be the worst or the best thing that's happened to his career?
I hope that he's not released. That he gets a chance to come back. Sorry, bad timing for a stretch. Gets a chance to come back and gets a chance to reclaim some of the fire that he had back in 2011. You know, he had a good thing going there. He was over, and for whatever reason, WWE reason, we're done with you. Let him hold the belt for a month, if that.
And what gets? I don't know what's gonna happen. You know, he's been. This is one of those guys that I don't know why he's still hired by the company. And I hate to say it, I love Zack Ryder and what he stands for and all that good stuff, but what is he? Why is he there? What does he do? He loses all these matches. We've seen him once in a blue moon. He wrestles Rusev for some reason. Like, we don't know what's about to go down. He'll have his one occasional win of the year that we're all shocked by, and it gets the internet buzzing. Oh my God, maybe they're going to turn the corner with this guy. But no, he hasn't done nothing. What? It's just so begs the question is, why is everybody so fixated on Zack Ryder if he really doesn't do anything? I don't understand.
Because he's one of their internet darlings.
I'm sorry? Can you shed some light on that?
I said because he's one of their internet darlings. The internet loves him.
What's the value of an internet darling in the WWE if it's not really doing nothing?
It's something for the fans to bitch about.
With all these budget cuts, it just makes sense. Why would you get rid of Drew McIntyre and not Zack Ryder? And I'm not trying to be the heel here. I'm just trying to be realistic. Why would you get rid of Brodus Clay and Drew McIntyre and Evan Bourne? I mean, Evan Bourne was even there that they weren't using him anymore. Zack Ryder hasn't done nothing at all. What, is he good backstage and he's got enough friends that they're keeping him around?
Well, he's got one big friend that's keeping him around. Mr.
Who's
John
that?
Cena.
I'm sorry?
Mr. John Cena.
They're close?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. He's got a job because of John Cena. You know, Ryback got his injury. Sometimes timing's a good thing. Maybe this will be like Darren Young. He got injured right when he came out of the closet. Maybe it was a good thing for him, and maybe he's going to be able to come back and be repackaged. Maybe they could do the same thing with Zack Ryder, make the fans forget about him a little bit and come back and say, you know, after my last injury, you know, I don't know how long we're going to be in this business, and we see a badass version of Zack Ryder come out, and he starts competing for IC championship belts and US championship belts.
You know, if nothing else, I would love to see WWE rehire Kurt Hawkins.
They just got rid of him, so that's not going to happen.
Oh, that you can't say that. They got rid of Daniel Bryan and brought him back 6 weeks later.
Which I still think that was kind of strange, and I feel like it was a storyline.
But I would love to see them bring back Kurt Hawkins around the time when Ryder's ready to go again, and bring back the edge, not the edge heads exactly, but bring back Hawkins and Ryder. Former tag team champions. I believe they were tag team champions. Just another legitimate face in the tag division, because Lord knows they could use one. I mean, if he's not going to do anything else and he's going to be in WWE, why not bring back Kurt Hawkins? At least let him do something notable. And Al's busy texting, but nonetheless.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I was just trying to see if, championships and compliments. One time, he was a one-time United States champion and one-time tag team champion with Kurt Hawkins.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with him, man. I don't know what's going to happen, and I wish him the best. Hopefully he can come back from injury and be great. I hope that they don't get rid of him. I wish they would do more with him. But for some reason, he's one of those guys that is left in limbo, and he's the glorified jobber of this generation. So it is what it is. Let's get back. Let's get into the next topic here. It's 11:45 almost. And you had this one up here. If you want to kind of take the lead on this next story.
I saw a story about Adrian Peterson and the NFL Players Association sent a letter to the NFL on last Friday calling for the immediate reinstatement of Adrian Peterson per the agreement of the sides made for the Minnesota Vikings running back to go back on the commissioner's exempt list in September. The agreement in order to place Peterson on the commissioner's exempt list explicitly states that Peterson would be removed from the list upon resolution of his legal matter. Peterson pleaded no contest to a misdemeanor last week. The agreement to place Peterson on that list explicitly states that Peterson would be removed from the list upon... Why did that repeat twice? If the NFL declines to comply with the agreement, the NFLPA can then file an expedited non-injury grievance to have Peterson reinstated immediately. I didn't know his court battles were over with. Oh,
yeah, that happened, last week sometime. I'm not sure if it was after our show, but yeah, that happened, and he got some community service time or some class, and he's pretty much clean to go, and he has no more issues.
Well, I did not know that. I don't really see the appeal in promoting a child abuser, but hell, why not? I mean, they're promoting a murderer over in Texas.
And we talked about this a little last week. I don't know. I don't know what the Vikings should do. I don't know if they should keep him. Sometimes, and I say it a lot of times, these organizations are so fixated on wins and losses, and they don't care about who's on their team. They could have a complete scumbag on their team, and they don't care. It would be kind of nice to see if we can see some,
a team to actually show some guts.
I'm sorry?
I said it'd be nice to see a team actually show some guts.
Yeah, and have some class, that's all,
Mm-hmm.
It's just we're not seeing that much, if at all, these days. So that's just one of those things that I'm just... what would you do, John? Would you want the guy back? No.
Nope, because it's showing other athletes that if you do something like that, you'll just get away with it scot-free. That's ultimately, to me, what that shows, and I would not want to be able to show that message. And it just shows for any crime. You pretty much get away with it. Don't do it again.
And what does that say about you as a man or owner of your team? It's like, that's what you want on there? You want these criminals on there?
A professional athlete.
If somebody needs help, I understand there's a big difference, but a lot of times, the media, you look at ESPN, they rely on that to save somebody's ass. They say, oh no, Michael Vick needed help. Oh no, this person needed help. What about no? This person is bad. He needs treatment, and he's just a criminal. Like, I don't want him on my team. You know, like, I wish somebody would stand up and say, look, I don't want you on my team. I think you need help, and I will provide some help to you, like therapy or whatever thing. There's stuff out there for everybody. If you want to be on my team, you got to go through this therapy every Wednesday at this time. Even that, I wouldn't feel good about. But I want more. Like, my name is on something. I would want more than just because he plays good, I'm going to bring him back, you know?
Professional athletes are supposed to be poster childs for, and supposed to be idols and role models and everything else that kids and people could look up to, you know? And I don't want to really use this guy, but you know what? He kind of fits the bill because he never really did anything to embarrass his team or embarrass his sport, and that's Derek Jeter. A guy who's at the top of his profession, one of the top shortstops in baseball for years, one of the top athletes in American sports for years. You didn't hear anything bad about him. You never heard any controversies about him. You never heard any bad reputation. You never heard anything. Jeter showed up, he played, and he shut up. That's what athletes need to do. You have a personality? Fantastic. Keep it for the clubhouse. But aside from that, you show up, shut up, do your job, leave, and shut your mouth. And I don't understand why it's so hard for some of them to do this, especially in the NFL. That all of them just see whatever fame they get, like Johnny Manziel, and let it go straight to their head. And Johnny Manziel is an absolute laughingstock. Absolute joke.
And it's funny because we're talking about that yesterday. They had a special on ESPN talking about domestic violence, and there was a domestic violence case 15 years ago, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the player that was involved with that domestic violence. But 15 years ago, this player was suspended 2 games. So in those 15 years, Ray Rice does the same thing. So, and they didn't take a look at domestic violence policy 15 years ago. He got 2 games as well suspended at the beginning until the video came out. Not until that video came out was when they revisited the policy and pretty much he got released from the Baltimore Ravens. It took 15 years for a change to happen. Same crime, 2 game suspension 15 years later. It's been happening forever, and it took till now that now there's more of a voice in our society to make a change. So it's just a shame. This has been happening for so long that I just don't understand. 15 years later, you're telling me you guys didn't even look at the policy for 15 years?
Yeah, they did, and they just don't care.
Technology that now that's what domestic violence is. What did you think it was? You think a man was patting a girl on the back, or they were beating the girl's ass pretty much? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Nope. But I don't know. Let's switch gears here a little bit. Try to lighten the mood a little bit. And apparently a new day is coming for WWE in the form of the apparent stable that we've long been awaiting for of Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E Langston. We saw some vignettes on Raw the past couple weeks, and apparently Al wants me to play a clip of these vignettes. Is that the case, sir?
Well, I want you to play the first one, and then the second one is going to be cued to what we saw back in July from Xavier Woods on July 21st, and I want to show you the difference of where we thought it was going and where it became, and what it is now.
All right, so which am I playing? Am I playing the old one or the new one?
Let's play the new one first, A New Day, and then we'll play the next one.
time to forget about the past. I said that it's time to look to the future. I said that it's time to feel good. Because this is a new day. It's a new day. Everybody wants it. Woo! That's what I'm talking about right there. Thanks for watching the show.
Whoops, yeah, no, don't want to hear you, Heath Slater. And from that one we go, did you want to talk about that one first, or go straight to the other clip?
Well, that video was set up like 2 weeks ago, and then Kofi Kingston did a mirror image of what Xavier Woods did. This is what they have become. Look at what we thought they were going to become. Here's what happened on June 21st?
Oh, oops.
July 21st, sorry,
Yep.
on Monday Night Raw.
Biggie time.
Everybody listen. I need you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. This is exactly what I have been talking about. You cannot move ahead by shaking hands, kissing babies, singing and dancing like a puppet. You cannot move ahead by always doing what you're told. Now, this is our time. This is our place. It is time for us to find focus. It is up to us to find order. Together, it is our time to find purpose. Because we do not ask any longer. Now, we take.
So
That promo had me so excited.
yeah,
So excited. I couldn't wait.
what the hell happened? I mean, they literally. From one extreme to the complete opposite. I don't understand what happened. I was so excited to see what they were going to bring. I thought this was going to be a badass group. And I guess I could bring out this card. I'm not. They constantly say that WWE's racist. I wonder why. They're putting these guys in robes with the black choir behind them, singing and dancing with the stereotypical look of what we've all seen with reverence and stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. I felt on July 21st, 2014, on Monday Night Raw, we were going to see a new group of 3 men take over. Now, you fast forward to now it's a new day with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. A gospel group or a preachers? Why? Why are you guys? What's your take on it?
I mean, if we still get the group together, then I'm still okay with that. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge what we're gonna get, but you know, I kind of agree with you, and I don't agree with you at the same time. You know, we went. Now we're getting Steve Harvey ripoffs almost.
I mean, we're definitely not getting what we thought we were going to get. It's just I don't understand. I don't like it. I felt like the group had more potential. It's funny because I'm already passing judgment. It's only been a couple vignettes, but just to hear the promo from July and how Xavier Woods says that we're not going to be singing and dancing like puppets, and then a few months later, they're literally singing and dancing like puppets. It is hilarious to me.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. That's for sure.
All right, guys. I just wanted to kind of touch base on it, and I want to see if Big E's going to be. If Big E sings and dances, this is going to be interesting.
I just want to see Big E come out. Oh, my brother, testify.
Oh my! Hey, he would be the guy to say it, right?
He would be. He was preaching like him.
Wow, man! It should be interesting to see. Man, I don't know. I know I say that a lot. It should be interesting to see. But I can't help but think that this is not going to be good for their careers, just because of the setup. It looks like
the fact that Kofi Kingston's getting any attention spent on him is better than what Kofi Kingston has been doing for the last few years.
Yeah, I agree on that too. I mean, he hasn't been doing much. I mean, at least they get repackaged. We'll see what is going to happen. With the trio and see if they can make something out of nothing. I see that there's an MLB spot here. I don't even know what's going on.
Well, it's the off season, and I'm following a few stories, and I got them listed here and actually ranked here, in my opinion. And have you heard any rumors? First off, have you heard any rumors with your Miami Marlins?
Negative. I really could care less.
You don't think Jeff Soria is going to pay any money?
I'm sorry?
I said, you don't think Jeff Soria is going to pay for any money? Or pay any money to get a better team?
Oh, he's been treating... He's about the bottom line, so he doesn't mind not having a good team as long as he's making money. So he spends less, he works off his TV deals, and he still makes millions of dollars doing it while we have a crappy team. So he doesn't care about putting out a winning team. He cares about the bottom line, and that's the issue we have down here. That's why I've lost total interest in the Marlins. And it's nothing to the talent they have. It's not their fault. It's just your ownership and management sucks there.
You should become a Yankee fan, man.
I would never do that. I would never. I can't do that. Like selling my soul to the devil will not happen.
Why? You already did to become a LeBron fan.
No, I did not. I defended him as a Miami Heat player, and I still haven't said his name. You keep on trying to say it. I haven't said his name.
I would have gave you that one anyway since I called you out on that. But one of the big rumors is Yankees closer David Robertson is a free agent. And he was issued a qualifying offer, which, Al, if you don't know what a qualifying offer is, it's an offer that a team gives an impending free agent that if they take it, then they get, it's almost like a minimum, or not a minimum, but I don't really know how they figure out the money. If they take it, they re-sign for a 1-year contract. If they don't take it, then whoever signs him, say David Robertson goes to the Marlins. Hypothetically, it won't happen, but hypothetically. The Yankees then get the Marlins draft pick in the upcoming draft, which is a lot of...
get our draft pick?
Yes, or whoever. You know, the Red Sox, and I got this one coming up after this one, the Red Sox are looking at another player, and they would get the pick from the San Francisco Giants if they were to sign him, I believe, because I don't believe he... Did he get? Yes, he did get a qualifying offer. Okay, so they would get their pick from the Giants. But Robertson declined the offer, so now he's a free agent, and there are reportedly about a half a dozen teams in the running for Robertson's services. Robertson was the one to succeed Mariano Rivera as the closer in New York, in case you didn't know who he was, Al. And I'm just curious to see who's going to be the Yankee closer if we don't re-sign Robertson, whether or not they're going to let Dellin Betances, who is kind of, in a lot of people's estimation, almost a reincarnation of Mariano Rivera. Last year was his first full season in the Bronx, And in his first full season, he broke Mariano Rivera's strikeout record. So, or his first year strikeout record, I should say. And most of that, what's impressive about Dellin Betances is most of Mariano Rivera's first season, he was a starter, not a closer. But, I don't know, I'm curious to see about that and who the Yankees could pick up if they decide to go after the lefty from Baltimore, if they try to go in-house and use some of their younger arms from the farm system. Here's one that might get Al a little interested. As you can hear, he is completely tuned out for this segment. Pablo Sandoval, the World Series champion San Francisco Giants, has been talking to the Boston Red Sox. Even though Sandoval said the week after the World Series ended, or that he wants to see himself retire in San Francisco, he has actually narrowed his market down to the Giants and the Red Sox. However, the Red Sox have spent multiple days and hours at the winter meetings right now, which are an annual, almost like a conference in the off-season now, trying to persuade Pablo Sandoval to join the Red Sox.
You think he really would leave?
I would hate to see it, not because I'm a Yankee fan. I would hate to see it because they had a nice, good core group of talent over in San Francisco, and that would open a huge gap. And if that would honestly hurt the Yankees' chances of getting Chase Headley back, who was the third baseman for us last year, because if they lose Pablo Sandoval, I can only imagine that they would like to see Chase Headley, a switch-hitting third baseman, go over to the Giants. What's up?
Yeah, so for him to go over to the Giants. I hate when players leave their teams that they just won a championship with. It happens everywhere. It happened with the Heat. It happened with the Seattle Seahawks this season. And it's going to happen with the Giants. Most likely, they always lose a couple pieces to go get more money. So, and that's why it's tough because you got so much money you can spend. And Major League Baseball, it's kind of easier because you can spend at will. It seems like. So he might go back to the Giants. I think it would be smart for him to do so.
Another one I'm watching, I don't know how much if you ever paid attention to the Tampa Bay Rays or at the time the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. They had a player, B.J. Upton, who signed with the Atlanta Braves a few years ago. Another thing I'm looking at, B.J. Upton is reportedly going to be packaged with Evan Gattis, one of their catchers, in a deal for somebody, I don't know, reportedly to Chicago. So that could be an early blockbuster in this very young offseason for Major League Baseball. And I won't bore you too much more. Carlos Gonzalez, Troy Tulowitzki of the Colorado Rockies are now being shopped around. That intrigues me quite a bit because I'm a very big Troy Tulowitzki fan, and the Yankees need a shortstop. So, unfortunately, he's been injury-plagued for the last few years, and he is unfortunately owed millions upon millions upon millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars. Not hundreds, but tens of millions of dollars over the next 8 years or 7 years of a 10-year contract extension that he signed a couple of years ago. And lastly, I touched on it, but the Yankees shortstop search, who they're going to get, I don't know. They're talking to Texas about getting Elvis Andrus, possibly Chicago for Starlin Castro, or Colorado, like I said, for Troy Tulowitzki. So it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with those 5 stories. And this was kind of a half-assed segment because I was kind of hoping I would have a friend of mine, my friend Matt's going to be joining our show pretty soon here. We're going to have a little hot stove segment every week the next couple months, going over some of the big signings, big rumors, news, etc. in the baseball offseason. Give Al a little bit of a break. He can go check his fantasy team. Drink
I
another
appreciate
5-hour
it. And
energy.
I'm sorry, it's.
Do some DDP yoga.
I'll tell you this: I used to be a big fan, and when you have Warners like down here in Miami, you lose interest, and it's with all the other sports going on down here. It's just one of those things that I can't talk too much about Major League Baseball these days. It is what it is. I used to follow it a lot more. It's just I'm going to blame it all on the more of this ownership.
Hey, listen, the rate the Yankees are going, I'll be right there with you.
All right, guys. So that's going to be a new segment. I look forward to your buddy being on the show with us. Just another thing that we're improving on our show. We're going to have a hot stove. It's called MLB Hot Stove Rumors. So that's going to be a cool segment, and you'll get more insight when his buddy shows up. I'm sorry that I can't provide too much to that.
It's okay. It's like you try to talk about NBA with me. I can only talk so much.
I understand. And going on, we have about 20 minutes here on the show, but before we do, here's some interesting news that has come up about onto interweb.
Yeah,
Chris Jericho posted a picture on Instagram, and it's a very interesting photo because here's what he writes. And the picture is of him and Stephanie McMahon and Vince McMahon, it looks like, and Triple H, and he goes, secret meeting, ? What's up with that? Hashtag WWE Liverpool, at WWE, hashtag Survivor Series, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Begging the question, will Chris Jericho be one of the members of Team Authority? I thought it was kind of interesting that he did that. I know he's just creating buzz for SmackDown, possibly. But what if he were to come back as a heel at Survivor Series, John?
No thanks. No thanks.
No thanks. I've had enough.
No, I'd love to see Jericho come back as a heel, but no. A long-standing feud like Jericho and Triple H, the last thing I need to see is another long-standing feud with Triple H turn into a partnership. Right, Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton and Batista?
Hey, you never know. Maybe I'll
right,
get Chris
Vince
Jericho
McMahon.
back on. You'll probably be like, look, I'm sick and tired of not fighting for a championship every time I come back.
Right, Vince McMahon. Right, Shane McMahon. Right, Stephanie McMahon. I keep going here, Ric Flair. Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense, though, after all these years of back and forth.
No, it wouldn't.
And finally you're on the same page.
No, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't.
I know, it's kind of personal.
You're like, oh, I want to join forces with the Authority. They need to stay around here. Yeah. Jericho, look up at the title. Oh, you see that? That's a pedigree on the top of Hell in a Cell 12 years ago. Oh, hold on. Let's go to another one. Oh, look at that. That's Triple H about to whoop your ass when he wanted to fight Ric Flair. Oh, my favorite one of recently. Oh, look, Chris Jericho. That's Triple H pulling down your tag team titles 5 years ago. Oh, my God. That was 5 years ago already.
All right, guys. I'm also, and I'm sorry to change this. There's an awesome exchange of Tommy Dreamer, Paul Heyman, Joey Styles that you guys have to read on Twitter.
Oh God.
I'm sorry. This is not even. I'm not even going to talk about it. But it's just funny.
Is it that bad that you can't talk about it?
No, it's just all right. Tommy Dreamer puts up a picture. 1996 Joey Styles on the microphone with the ECW banner in the background. He fast forward to now. It's 2014. Joey Styles, same kind of logos and all that. Tommy Dreamer says, "Look what happens when you drink the Kool-Aid at Joey Styles 18 years later. And do I get paid for my banners, or is it ECW style, playing off of Joey Styles' name?" And then Paul Heyman gets involved. Goes, anyone who got to keep those banners, merchandise, etc., to offset debt shouldn't be joking about ECW style pay. Hashtag expose your own sins, not just mine. And then Joey Styles, a bit stiff at Paul Heyman. I'm pretty sure that Tommy Dreamer was joking about the WWE Network hashtag exposed using an original ECW budget hashtag loyalty. Paul Heyman replies at Joey Styles, at Tommy Dreamer, at the WWE Network. Not stiff, just honest. Easy to jump on the I got screwed bandwagon. Harder to reveal the truth. Paul Heyman, same people. Did I duck one question, sugarcoat any single answer? Didn't I accept an accountability for my sins? He keeps on to say, I'll take any deserved shots even 13 years later. If you want me to come clean with me. So kind of interesting. And it looks like it's getting personal between Tommy Dreamer, Joey Styles, and Paul Heyman after just a banner that was being used on the ECW Exposed special going on this week. So that is freaking crazy, huh?
Yep. I'd like to see some little inside digs like that, even though it's ultimately in good fun.
That's funny, though. That is great. I'm sure Paul Heyman got on the phone with them or something.
Be like, yeah, well, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and blah, 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 Brock Lesnar.
All right, so a little bit about CM Punk. He's going to write for Marvel Comics now, apparently. I don't know if he's going to be writing about his time working for Vince McMahon, because it was a bit comical, especially according to him.
That's horrible. That was horrible. You can come up with better than that.
I can? Come on, I tied that in pretty sweet. So do we think that it's a good move for him? I think any moves are good for him right now. He's trying to find his way. He loves the zombies. He loves all that crap that everybody else loves, but I seem not to understand. What are your thoughts on this and him being a Marvel and writing for them? And do you even know what it's about? What's going on with that?
I like it because he's writing Thor, and Thor is one of my favorite comic book heroes. So
he's writing Thor?
Yes. The new Thor comic book he's writing.
Pretty cool.
I would love to see him keep writing.
What?
Sorry, just saw the weather updates trending on Twitter right now. And 3 pictures is the temperatures in South Florida, and then the Arctic plunge of cold weather coming, and then it's Family Guy's weatherman. It's cold! I don't know. If you saw the group of pictures that I just saw, you would have laughed, but... what was I even saying?
You're talking about CM Punk and Thor.
I would love to see him keep writing with these comics, keep writing, and maybe somehow get on board with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because I think if Punk's doing the comics, I think he has a lot that he could offer. And it's nice to see him finally stepping away from active competition, whether it be marathons and crapping in... Did you ever hear that interview on the Nerdist podcast? I don't mean to promote somebody else on our podcast, but... He was running in a marathon and he had to use a bathroom, so he stopped at a porta-john halfway through the race, or over halfway through the race, and then there was no toilet paper in there.
I did not see that. You literally did that?
Yeah, so he used a Dunkin' Donut muffin wrapper to wipe his ass with. And then he gets out of there, and there's this poor older woman looks at Punk. Or not poor older woman, there's a woman like doing like a piss dance, like she's ready to go, and she looks at Punk. Is there toilet paper in there? Yep. And just kept running.
That's freaking hilarious.
But it's nice to see him step away from something, physical or something competitive, and step into doing something that he enjoys. He's said for the longest time that he enjoys comic books and stuff. So, I don't know. I'm not a big comic book reader. I like more of the movies than anything else, but I'm almost inclined to check it out, see what he can do. But we got about 50...
with all his different projects, it makes it harder and harder to me to see him actually possibly work with the company again. I mean, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah, if we can get Corey Graves back, we'll be good. But, alright, Al, it's debate time.
The debater.
Al is a master debater.
What are we debating? Because there's a few topics on here.
Alright, so Darren Williams joined the Nets in 2011 with the hopes that he could be what Jason Kidd was the decade before that and lead the Nets back to the promised land of the playoffs since we've never won a championship. Do you think Darren Williams' time with the Nets has been a bust, or do you think it will ultimately reap success?
Well, let's see here. All right, so if you guys want a little bit of a history lesson, Darren Williams has 2 gold medals. He was back in 2008 and 2012. Also in the FIBA American Championship, he won gold in there as well back in 2007. He was with Utah from 2005. What was that? Up until 2009, correct? 2011. Then he went over to the Brooklyn Nets. Questioning here is, has it been a bust or has he been a good pickup? Me personally, he's been doing pretty decent. If you look at his numbers in Utah from 2005 to 2011, first year was 10.8 points per game. Went to 16, 18, 19, 18. He peaked in 2011 at 21. Then he got downgraded back to 15 at the start of the 2010-2011 season with the New Jersey Nets. Went back up to 21 points per game in 2012. 2012-13 season. It went back down to 18 and last season. Or would that be last season or this season?
Last year he averaged about 14 points a game.
14 points, okay.
And 6 games into the season right now, he is averaging almost 20. So it kind of seems like the Utah Darren Williams is back. Question is, do you think he can stay healthy? Do you think he can lead the team like he could, or almost could in Utah? What's your thought?
I think that he's a great player. He's always shown a pretty good balance. I mean, you're looking at 19 points average a game for the first 6-7 games. I'm not sure how many they've played so far. He's one of those guys, in 2011 he was injured pretty much most of the time. I think he needs better pieces around him, and that's the problem. I don't think he's a bust at all. I mean, when you're averaging double digits each year, you're a good player in this league. And he's only averaged 14.3. That was just last season. And I think he was hurt a couple of the games last year. Does that sound right? He only played 64 games last season.
Yeah, he was injured for most of it. He had some ankle problems, some foot problems last year. But
if he could give you a season like 2012, 2013, he played 78 games, and he averaged 18.9 points per game. That's what you want out of him. And his rebounds, I mean, he's averaged about 3 rebounds a game. He's not known for rebounding. I don't think this guy's a bust, man. I think he's a great player as long as he's healthy. And he can be that guy from Utah. And I think he's showing that he hasn't really changed much at all, only that he's gotten injured. And that's prone to happen at the age of 30,
And he still has another 3 years left or so on his contract. So,
and if you look at it, you know what's even more telling? All right, in 2014, last season, he played 64 games. He had one of his worst years ever. Only worse to his first season in the NBA, which was 14.3, and that was his worst year in the playoffs. But other than that, Playoffs in Utah, 4 years. 2007, 19 points per game. 2008, 21 points per game. This is still Utah. 2009, 20. 2010, 24. Brooklyn, 20 in 2013. Last year, he had an off year at 14. He is not a bust, I don't think, at all. As long as he stays healthy, I think he'll be great. And he needs better pieces. There's only so much you can do with not having a good team around you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What is your take?
I've loved him since he came to. Well, at the time when he came to New Jersey, I loved him, and I think if Brook Lopez could stay healthy, I mean that would be an awesome 1-2 punch. And then you throw in the mix Joe Johnson and how dominant he's been, one of the top elite shooters in the NBA the last couple of years. Then all of a sudden now you got a good threesome. And then Mason Plumlee, I don't know if you paid attention to him last year, impressed quite a few people with how he played last year filling in for Brook Lopez. And then you got 4 players. And then you got Father Time, Kevin Garnett. So, I mean, I can't say it was really a bust considering half of the teams that he's been on were extremely sub-500 teams. He came in the 12, the year after the 12-70 finish. One of his seasons that he was here, I believe, was a strike-shortened season, if I'm correct. Yep. 2011-2012 was the strike-shortened season. But I don't know. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It ultimately boils down to if he can stay healthy.
And it's one of those things that if he could play those 82 games, he only did it once in his career. First 2 seasons, he played all 80. He played 80 games. In 2007, he played all 82 games. The closest he ever came was Brooklyn in 2012 when he played 78 games. So with the age, it happens, man. I mean, you're gonna get dinged up if you get. But when he's on the court, he produces. I think he's been kind of. He's one of those guys that he's going to be I don't know if he'll be in the Hall of Fame just because of the rings. He doesn't have any. I'll take him in the Heat over here. I mean, if he wants to go to Miami, he'll help us out and win. I think he has a better chance going to a different team. I know your owner spent all this money on a team, but I don't know. They're just missing a couple pieces. Darren Williams would have fit in so many other teams. And I think that he's a great player, and if he stays healthy, you know, I just feel bad for the Nets because I dig the Nets. Believe it or not, that's one of those teams that I've always said that, man, why can't they get over the? I thought you guys were going to be a lot better than you guys have become.
And this year so far, 4-2. I mean, we're not horrible. I mean, Joe Johnson called him out for how bad they did on a road trip last week. But, I mean, they're not doing horrible. I mean, they got a really tough game tonight. Tonight, or tomorrow night, rather. Was it? It's tomorrow night. Against Golden State. So that's going to be a really tough test for the Nets. But, I mean, if they can beat Golden State and beat some more of these top teams, then, I mean, then teams are going to have to take out this this mindset that, okay, maybe the Nets are for real. And if we can go into January and still be doing what we're doing, I think they got a good chance this year.
And it's tough. It's tough to analyze the NBA right now with the small sample that we have. Like right now, they're talking about the Heat, how great they are, and all this. Well, guys, it's only been I think the Heat have played 7 games. You know, it's so early in the season to sit here. So it's good to wait till January and really look at what we got. I mean, look at Toronto. Toronto's 7-1. I think
that won't last.
Toronto and Memphis are both 7-1. The best.
Memphis might last. Toronto won't.
I don't think Toronto. But you know what? Toronto was one of those teams that season. I'm like, watch out. The next couple seasons, they're pretty good. They don't have that huge name like a Dwayne Wade or
You know who's
the other
got
guy.
to be kicking himself in the ass right now?
I'm sorry?
You know who's got to be kicking himself in the ass right now?
Who's that?
A, Kobe Bryant.
Yep.
And B, Carmelo Anthony. The Lakers are an abysmal 1-6, and the Knicks are an abysmal 2-6.
The Knicks are going to be like that for a couple of years. It shows that it was cool. I gotta say this: Carmelo Anthony, he stayed home. He stayed. He said he had something to do, and he wanted to finish. Unlike other people that run every time they lose to the Spurs for some reason. So you got to sit there and say, man, at least he stayed. He stayed with the Knicks. The Knicks are happy they got their guy. They need a couple pieces, and I think with Phil Jackson, they're going to get those pieces. And they got a new coach with Derek Fisher, which is kind of – it irks me that Phil Jackson brought him, but who else is out there? At least Phil Jackson could control Derek Fisher somewhat and help him out.
They didn't get Jason Kidd.
Well, I mean, Jason Kidd did all right for you guys. I mean, they made it to the playoffs for last season, so –
I'll pass.
But he's a jack. He's a jackass. I don't know what happened to this guy, but I feel like he's a big jackass.
He is a jackass. But, I mean, I'm just looking at the Knicks right now, and how are they not doing better than they are? You got Andrea Bargnani, you got Carmelo, obviously. You got J.R. Smith and Amari Stoudemire. I mean, names alone, how the hell are you not doing any better than what you're doing right now?
This is crazy. I'm just looking at it. Stoudemire hasn't been himself for a long time. He's collecting this big paycheck, and nobody wants him. They can't get rid of him. So we'll see. I think they're going to get things turned around. Don't sleep on the Knicks. They're going to get things turned around. If it's not this season, they'll be better. They're going to get better. I think they're going to get better, and they're going to be okay. At least we're not. You guys are not sitting 0-7 like the Philadelphia 76ers.
That's pretty bad.
They're only 6.5 games behind, which I don't understand because they're literally 0-7, which they're 6.5 games behind.
It's only because they played 6 games. But quickly, before we get ready to wrap this up here in a few minutes, SmackDown is moving nights back to Thursday nights. How do you feel about that?
Who cares? No, saying what you guys. It makes things interesting because now, what was it? NXT is moving to Wednesday nights on the network, so Wednesday nights have become a night of wrestling. With Impact Wrestling, Lucha Underground, and now NXT is going to be switching over to Wednesday nights. So that's very interesting. So if you got nothing to do on a Wednesday night, if there's no NBA, there's no football, you got all that. SmackDown.
In that order, you got Lucha Underground, you have NXT, and Lucha Underground and NXT.
And Impact.
Lucha Underground and NXT.
And Impact. Or whatever that show is. Which have been doing...
Speaking of them really quick, I know I'm getting off topic here. You know they only have enough content for the end of this month?
Yeah, we've been talking about that a couple times. Yeah, they're going to do some highlight shows at the end of the year or whatever. And they still haven't announced anything. There's nothing coming up. They said they were going to announce the biggest signing. They haven't announced that.
Because Global Force Wrestling just stole them.
That's probably what it was. Jim Ross... Jim, what happened, Jim? Dixie. Jim Ross signed with GFW. Anyways. They want to get those ratings higher. They used to have some great ratings on Thursday night. I still don't understand why they moved to Friday night in the first place. I never understood.
It was a move that the CW wanted to do when they were on the UPN. And
yeah,
CW
but they switched to Sci-Fi. Why wouldn't they switch back to Thursday nights? I never understood why they never went back. It's Friday nights. Who the hell's watching SmackDown on Friday nights with little kids that are home with their parents?
Exactly. That's all that's watching it. Yeah, I'm telling you, I bet you SmackDown's ratings are going to go much higher. But could we see any shakeups? Could we see maybe a new general manager? Could we see maybe?
Well, they're going to do something like that, John.
Could we see possibly some new announced teams, as JR kind of alluded to in one of his blogs?
They'll have some shakeups, and they're obviously going to bring John Cena for that one episode, for that one ratings boost, and they're going to bring this guy over and get some. They'll probably bring Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and blah blah blah. Maybe even the Rock.
And the rest of the Village has-beens. Yeah,
maybe The Rock will come out and do a little via satellite from his home in Miami. That's pre-recorded but live at the same time.
Even though SmackDown's in Fort Lauderdale, but who's counting? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I'm just saying. Actually, his house is in Davie. Florida. But anyways, it's going to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have
how
a
the
closer.
ratings happen. It's going to be January 15th, 2015. It looks like.
Yep.
So they did that. Obviously, play on the date. That way, you guys don't forget. The 15th on the 15th of January. So there you go. Moving on. Let's talk about this before we head out, can we?
I guess.
All right. Rey Mysterio. Alberto Del Rio. It's been officially announced on WWE.com that he's allowed to take bookings. It was weird that they used that word, but they did use that verbatim on WWE.com, stating that he can take bookings, and there came to a mutual agreement. Rey Mysterio apparently was at Monday Night Raw 2 weeks ago, if I may say, talking to Vince McMahon. Reports coming out from Dave Meltzer is that he has no interest in coming back to wrestling. Not only for the WWE, but Lucha Underground or AAA, which I think is BS. I think he's using that as leverage, saying that he doesn't want to wrestle anymore. That way he can go and be a part of that, but it is what it is. Not sure if I made sense there, but if you guys have not been keeping up with the story, Rey Mysterio has been backstage at AAA events and Lucha Underground events, saying that he's meeting up with friends, but whatever the case is, he told Vince McMahon he doesn't want to ever wrestle again. Now that ADR was able to hold his ground, do you feel that now Rey Mysterio is going to say, you know what, I can do the same thing even if I lose a little bit of money and hold my ground and get out of this crappy contract I'm in? What is your take?
I still want to see Rey Mysterio back, you know. I told you, I got excited when he was supposedly backstage at Buffalo. And just, I don't know. I think his time is gonna be up very shortly. I don't think he'll make it to the spring when his contract's up. I think he'll leave like Alberto did. But
the thing is, the two stories are very different. I mean, there was an incident with ADR, you know, and he felt. I think the reason why he won over because he felt that he was wrongfully terminated. Especially the way Triple H handled it, because reports came out that say, we're going to terminate you now, but wait 3 months and we'll rehire you. If you remember reading that a few months ago. So that you can't say that. You can't say that and then still tell him not to work anywhere else. That's against any type of political and employment laws that there is out there. So I think that's how he won it over. With Rey Mysterio, nothing like that has really happened. You know, he didn't have a backstage incident. You know, I don't know the whole story. We're not going to get it anytime soon, but we will eventually. When he does a shoot video or whatever the case is, you know he's going to do one. So
Maybe he'll do one on Main Event Madness.
Hey, you never know. Yeah, I like you. I wanted to see Rey Mysterio. I've been a fan of him since ECW days, so we'll see what happens, man. It's a lot of unknown with Rey Mysterio at this time. And we're going to wrap the show up here, but I did promise you guys we're going to talk about 3 key injuries in the NFL. Brandon Albert from the Miami Dolphins, we brought him in from Kansas City. He's been a beast on the line. He's gone. So we're back to having the same BS squad we did last year, and it showed on our game. Ryan Tannehill was on his ass most of the game after we lost him, and there was a lot of pressure being brought to him. So that's a huge injury for the offensive line for Miami. A Miami Dolphins team that is trying to make a run to the playoffs after years and years of not making it. Another key injury right now in the NFL is Patrick Willis from the San Francisco 49ers. It's so key to me that I am dropping the San Francisco 49ers defense from my fantasy team, and I'm picking up the Browns. We have like 20 people in our league, so they haven't been doing good, but the Browns have been a little bit more consistent, so I'm picking up the Browns. He's out for the season, Patrick Willis. And I think the biggest, I feel bad for this fan base, the Arizona Cardinals lose Carson Palmer in a freak accident. I mean, he was by himself, untouched. He tore his ACL. He's out for the season after leading the team to I think it's 7-1. They have the best NFL record right now. Obviously, one of the main teams that was probably going to go deep into the playoffs. Now I believe they're starting their rookie quarterback. So there's a lot of question marks there. And I just wanted to share that with you guys. You got fantasy, man. Just keep an eye out. Your teams, a lot of changes happen with these injuries. And I pray for all of them to get better and hopefully come back next year and continue to impact their teams. We got all the subjects in. I'm very proud of that, John.
Yep. But that's going to do it here, guys, on Main Event Madness. Don't forget to check out our brand new YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/Main Event Madness. Head over to maineventmadness.com and check out the show if you missed any and all of today's show. Excuse me, follow myself.
Hey, by the way, that YouTube channel was just retweeted by our guest last week, so pretty cool. And thank you for that.
Awesome stuff. Thank you, Mr. Ricklin Stevens.
Big Rex, former Ezekiel Jackson.
But yeah, follow myself at John MEM Radio. Follow Al at me. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. Al, go ahead and say it for yourself.
Is it that bad?
You got so excited saying your Twitter handle.
All right, guys. Follow me at Al Me Madness. That's my Twitter handle. Al Me Madness. I love it.
And Wrestling-News.net, WrestlingNewsReport.com, Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. Don't forget to like us on there. I think that's going to do it. Next week's show is going to be very, very interesting. As you guys have heard on here, my father's got to go in for surgery. He's going in next Tuesday. So he's going to be in the intensive care unit for a little bit post-op. So next week is going to be very touchy show-wise. Follow us. Let's try that again. Don't forget to visit the Facebook page, our Facebook page, facebook.com. Like I said, facebook.com/Main Event Madness. And we'll put our updates on there this weekend when we find out, early next week. And we'll have an update on maineventmadness.com as well. I think that's all we got. Am I missing anything here?
It's awesome. Thank you again for listening to Main Event Madness. We'll be back next week. And again, we're rooting for your dad. He's going to kick some ass. And thank you all for listening. It means a lot. And we'll have more guests. And guess what? We only got a couple shows left before the end of the year. Holy crap.
Alrighty. So, on that note, guys, have a great rest of your Wednesday, great rest of your week, great weekend. God willing, we will see you back here next week. I haven't got a clue in hell when that's going to be. So, that's pretty bad. I just went from God to heaven, or God to hell. But, like I said, God willing, we'll see you back here next week, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week, weekend, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to shut up. I get to go deal with customers now. Have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining us. Miss a part or all of today's show? No problem. Head over to maineventmadness.com where you'll find today's show as well as every show in our history. So once again, for all of us here at Main Event Madness, I'm John Curry. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you back here next time. Have a good one, everybody. So long.
Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world that I'm coming home.
I'm coming home.
Let the rain wash away
Feels so
all
good.
the pain of yesterday.
Feel so free.
To my
Ain't no place like home,
kingdom
baby.
and never forget
Ain't no place like home.
I'm coming
Coming home.
home.
coming home.
Tell the world
Tell
that
the
I'm
world.
coming.
I'm coming home.